Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. It's great that so many people here, and thank you very much for supporting this Morocco thing, which is something I've been on that trip many times to Morocco, and I realise how valuable the work that we do is over there. Last time I did a little thing over here in November. We went over to Algeria afterwards. We had a few beers. And I was speaking to Mr. Alex. Mr. Alex here, I think, is sitting at the table here at the front. And he was telling me about Tinder dating. And he was telling me about how, not just Tinder, but other I don't know anything about any of this stuff, because I sort of met my wife back in the Bronze Age with none of this kind of stuff. And he told me what Tinder was. At Tinder, you see a picture of somebody, you like the look of them, okay, you slide them in one direction. You don't like the look of them, you slide them somewhere else. There's a great big cyberspace bin where all the ugly people are thrown over there, all the ugly ones. And a lot of people don't like the idea that everything's based so much on appearance. And I was speaking to a lady in primary school, I'm not going to say who it is because that would be a bad thing to do. But one of the primary school teachers met somebody through a dating site, but it wasn't Tinder. And she didn't like the idea that you had to base everything on an image. You know, you see somebody you like them, you don't like them. She was looking for a soulmate. She wanted to find somebody who had a lot in common. So the particular site that she joined, what you had to do, you had to write something about yourself. And there were no images, no pictures, you don't know who anybody is. You write something called a UPP. And a UPP stands for a unique personal profile. And a unique personal profile just says, in your own words, a little bit about yourself, your personality, your preferences, and all these kind of things. So she wrote a UPP. She's an interesting woman, very kind of spiritual, you know, sort of outdoorsy. And in her UPP, she wrote, this is her own term, her own phrase. She said, I'm a blue sky and green fields kind of a gal. That's her words. Blue sky and green fields kind of a gal. You think a lot of guys would go for a woman like that. But there was only one match. And that turned out to be a horse. And she'd expressed a strong preference for a non-smoker and a vegetarian. That horse seemed to tick all the boxes. And of course, he wrote some stuff about himself. I mean, he had a UPP profile. She didn't know anything about him apart from what he'd written. And he said, in his UPP profile, he said, I'm looking for a stable relationship. Of course, she really thought that was the type of relationship. He was thinking more about its location. And there was something else. Something that really stood out. In his UPP, he had this little statement about himself. It was simple. He said, my friends, they call me the stallion. And she thought about that, and she thought, oh, I know what's happening here. Here's some young buck who's playing up his sexual prowess, his virility. You know, some guy is trying to impress, you know. She'd seen all that before, but then, you know, she was a real human being, a flesh and blood woman. She hadn't been in a relationship for some time. So there was something in that that kind of appealed to her. But she was really reading too much into this. And it turns out that the reason that his friends called him the stallion was because he was a fucking stallion. The first date was a complete disaster. She was living in London at the time. She chose some nice little vegetarian restaurant in Soho. Window seat, she turned up early, she was nervous. Night time, people walking by. Somebody had parked a horse box right outside. Didn't realize her date was inside. And then the problem started. He was so worried they couldn't get him through the door. It took him 20 minutes to push him in. As soon as he got in, first thing he did was take a drink out of the fish tank and pissed on the umbrella stand. Conversation didn't flow. She said the conversation was very one-sided. She decided early on that marriage was out of the question. She just could see that this relationship was going nowhere. Sure, I mean, all of that riding was bound to be fun. But marriage, no. I think she was right. I think she was right because I don't know anything about relationships or marriage or counseling or guidance or anything like that, but I've always strongly suspected a marriage is much more likely to be successful if both of the partners involved belong to the same species. Hard to imagine a date like that being the result of Tinder, kind of, because in Tinder the image is everything, isn't it? So you see, the first thing you'd see, oh, hang on, that's a horse. They wouldn't bother. Probably wouldn't bother. But of course, the problem is, it relies so much on image that it really makes it difficult for some people. Let's face it, I mean, some people are unattractive. And it's it seems like a very, very cruel thing to say. But some people are unattractive. People like my cousin, Diane. No, I know it sounds horrible. She is lovely. She is a lovely woman. But men don't go for her. A lot of them get put off by the fact that she's got 3 eyes. Which is true, Diane's got 3 eyes. They're all on stalks. And she can retract them individually to special grooves in her head, where they get moistened. And then they pop back out again. I mean, kids love that. I mean, they love going around to Auntie Di's house. Looking at Auntie Di is more entertaining than watching TV. In fact, it's a bit like watching TV because she reminds me of a character in SpongeBob SquarePants called Mr. Crab. But Diane is just one of my kind of freaky relatives. I mean, she's not the only one. I've got my cousin Aidan. And my cousin Aidan, I mean, he's got 2 ears. You may not think that's particularly unusual, but they're both on the same side of his head. On the other side, there's none at all. All my cousins are weird. They've got all kinds of strange anatomical irregularities and non-conformities. They're just odd, really odd. And a lot of people think that human beings are descended from monkeys. You've probably heard that yourself. But if you think about it, that cannot possibly be true, because logically, if we're descended from monkeys, there can't be monkeys around now if they're our ancestors. That just couldn't be, if you think about it logically. But what a scientist might say is that we human beings, we're primates, and that other primates are related to us. And we can think about chimpanzees as being kind of like our cousins. And I always thought that was a difficult idea to try and accept, but that's before I met my own cousins. The ones who live in Ballygrant. And it's not that they're particularly hairy. I mean, hairiness is not unusual in Ireland. Irish people will understand this, but every Irish family has got an aunt with a mole. Some of them have little hairs, little tufts of hair just above their lips. The odd one has got eyebrows that sort of meet and converge in the middle. You even get 1 or 2 with a full beard. And those hairy women, you might think, oh man, that's a little bit, and that's not really very nice, you know. But I'll tell you something. I mean, I'm an Irishman, and I consider these women, these hairy women, are just an essential and defining part of my cultural heritage. Well, we haven't got the Taj Mahal. And we haven't got the Champs-Élysées. Nobody in Ireland lay on their back for 4 years and painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. So we've got to just use what we got. And as it happens, the unifying theme that unites us and forms our greatest cultural heritage is a bunch of middle-aged women who've got more facial hair than they're really supposed to have. And sometimes you see these women all hanging around at the back of church on Sunday morning, they're all chatting to each other. And when I see them, it kind of reminds me of walking inadvertently into a meeting with the elders of the Taliban. But it's not the hairiness that sets my own cousins apart. They've got all kinds of weird things about them. And one of the reasons they're weird, and this is my wife's sitting over here. My wife said, you know what's wrong with your cousins from Ballygrant? They are all inbred. Inbred. I mean, she said that about my family. They're all inbred. It's a terrible thing to say. But I think, you know, the more I think about it, I think she's probably right. And my cousin Diane more or less set me straight on this. She more or less admitted it. Because she'd had a few drinks too many one time. Normally she'd have a couple of glasses of wine, she had 3 or 4. And she said something that she shouldn't have said. She said, you know what? My mother and my father, they're both actually the same person. I thought all of this was down to Granny Hogan's cooking. That's why the family was so weird. There was Granny Hogan's cooking, because my grandmother Hogan, used to like to cook using radioactive ingredients. She always used to say that the most important meal of the day was breakfast. Breakfast! Breakfast. You've got to have a hearty... Your own mums and grandmoms probably said the same. Hearty breakfast, she said. She made porridge out of weapons-grade plutonium. It was so chemically unstable it used to cook itself. There was enough energy left over to heat up the whole house. You didn't even have a cooker. And when the grandchildren had a bowl of this stuff, they used to glow like those kids in the Ready Pack commercials. You could see them walking to school on those dark winter's morning from about half a mile away. And the lady from Ballygram Council, she used to phone up Granny. She said, listen, Granny, could you tell us when you're cooking one of your enriched uranium omelettes? Because she knew that when she did, the council could save a lot of money by not turning on the streetlights for a couple of nights. But all of those weird cousins of mine, all of those Ballygrant cousins, the good thing is that they live in Ballygrant, so we don't come across them very much. My wife, they really freak her out. She says, she went to Ballygrant once, she says, I'm never going there again. You know, the people there, they're like the people over in Tennessee. You know, the ones who've got 2 heads and sitting on porches on rocking chairs playing the banjo. They're the kind of people you get in Ballygram, which is kind of cruel. But the problem is sometimes they come over to visit. And Aidan, he came over last summer, and he phoned me up. You know, this happens, doesn't it? People phone you up and say they sort of come over to stay, and there's nothing you can say to them. You can't really tell them no, you can't. He phoned up and said, Paul, I'm thinking of coming to Spain. I said, is that you, Aidan? He said, yeah. You know, I'm thinking of coming to Spain for a holiday. I said, that's great, Aidan. Which part of Spain were you thinking of coming to? And he said, well, what bit do you live in, Paul? And I said, oh, well, I live so near to Marbella. And he said, that'd be grand. I'll go and stay with you, son. And my wife was there, and she saw me on the phone. She said, no, not having it. I can't have him. And he's there. He's on the phone. What do I say? So, Aidan, it'd be great. Come and stay with us for a little while. That'd be great. Thank you. That's awesome. So he came over. I said to my wife, Aidan's not so bad, you know. He's not a bad lad. His heart's in the right place. Of course, I can't vouch for the positions of his other internal organs. I mean, his liver and gallbladder and spleen and his rectum, frankly, they could be anywhere. He showed up. My wife said, no, take him away, I can't have him. He's hanging around the house all day, he's going to drive me nuts, get rid of him. I said, I can't get rid of him. So I took him off to Gibraltar. Gibraltar's a couple of hours away. I said, we'll go up the rock of Gibraltar, because there's some apes up there. We're going to have a look at the apes. So we went up, rock of Gibraltar, and we saw an ape. There was an ape sitting on the wall there. And I said, Aidan, look, there's an ape. And Aidan looked at the ape, and he thought, Jesus, that's Rory, my cousin from Dublin. He said, Rory, is that you? Huh? Is that you up there? Jesus, great to see you. Are you on holiday too? Huh? Me and Paul. We're here on holiday. We're here for the day. Isn't it great? You can see Africa from here. It's mighty. Here. Rory. You couldn't take a picture of me and Paul, could you? Huh? Here, I've got my phone in my pocket. Will you take a picture of me and Paul so I can send it home? I said, Aidan, what are you doing? Don't do this. You're crazy. That's your cousin Rory. It's a fucking ape. the phone. Hands the phone to the ape. I couldn't get through to Aiden. I was saying, why can't I get through to him? And then I realized I was speaking to the side of his head that didn't have any ears. Hands the phone up to the ape. Ape takes the phone. You think the ape's going to take a picture of me and Aiden? What a chat. You know what apes are like. I mean, they're so vain. As soon as he got the camera, he started taking pictures of himself. I'm going to stop now before they throw me off. Thank you very much for listening. Good night.